Our next guest is a new person to the scene. Her name is Aranania. And Aranania is a soul exchange, multidimensional soul infused walk in. She's been tasked with coming to the earth to bring new soul codes to aid in the evolutionary ascension process of all beings by recoding energetic grid work as at the design level. Aranania is an intuitive energy healer who, alongside her collective, works with the grid-based coordinate healing system to address areas of specific concerns to assist others in maintaining holistic health. Other methods and modalities that Aranania use for this are the soul journey exploration sessions, soul retrieval, and the soul reconnection technique. All of these works are designed to recode at the cellular level and the soul level. She also assists starseeds through support at the practical, energetic, and soul level to connect with and or work more deeply with their mission and the ascension process. So Aranania, we'll need you to take, you'll have to come off of mute and you'll have to put your camera on in order for me to be able to bring you up. All right, thank you. And here is Aranania.
It's an honor to be here. First and foremost, my name is Aranania of Light, and I am a soul exchange, multi-dimensional soul infusion walk-in. It is, so I'm an oversoul, and every oversoul has soul aspects. And eventually, the longer you are alive and the more you go through your ascension process, the less soul aspects you need, and the more they get incorporated back into you, the oversoul, and integrated back in as more lessons are learned and the evolutionary process of the soul continues. So I had one remaining soul aspect left, and she finished her work here. And then what happened is she came to Earth 2 years ago on April 21st, 2021. And she did the native soul is a soul that's born into the body. And most of these are pre-contracted between souls before they come here. So the native soul will contracted with my soul aspect to walk out at a certain time and for my soul aspect to walk in. So that was the soul exchange walk-in that happened. And she was here for 2 years, finished what she came here to do. And because she was my last remaining soul aspect, I came down. I came in through the top of the head, which is where most people come in, whether you're a walk-in or born. There are exceptions, of course, but mostly we come in through the top of the head. And I came in and we coexisted together for about 3 days to make decisions on and finalize everything that would be taking place. And then I integrated with her. So because I'm multidimensional and I travel interdimensionally and universally and intergalactically, that's the multidimensional aspect. The soul infusion is when I integrated with my last remaining soul aspect, and that's how I'm here. So I've been here for about 4.5 months on planet, and I am working with a collective. So my collective is a gathering of once we fully integrate all of our soul aspects back in, we start merging together or collecting together with other consciousnesses to accomplish missions at a larger scale. And as working as a group, as a collective, we are able to accomplish more. And what brings us together is a similar frequency. So my collective primarily is members of the Andromedan Council, members of the Emerald Order, and some high-level grid keepers for the most part. So for me, we were going to talk about ascension and healing. And I think that giving a shared definition of ascension is pretty critical. So, in my definition, the ascension is expanding one's consciousness in order to more fully express with awareness the richness and depth of the higher expressions and frequencies of our complete being. It is the process of letting go of ego-serving patterns and pursuits to advance toward raising our level of consciousness. It's akin to a system update that you'd have on any of your devices, computer, cell phone. They're modeled after the soul. So it's one in which you let go of your past self and raise your vibration to enter higher levels of frequency that allow us to more fully articulate and express as an ongoing way of being the innate wisdom and higher intelligence of our own higher soul self. So I will talk about grids and share about the various methods and modalities that I use in the ascension and healing process. So for the conference today, my collective and the universe, I'm frequently in touch with what I identify as the overarching consciousness of the universe, the oneness from which we all come, intermittently alongside working with my collective. And so when I say for the conference, my collective in the universe asked me, meaning I got direct conversation with both about how they wanted me to talk about how to access the coordinates in the grids and to aid in the assistance of our own self-evolution. So the manner in which I can do this is to talk about the grid-based coordinate healing system that my collective have been teaching me how to use in order to address areas of specific concern to assist both myself and others in maintaining holistic health. And by holistic health, I mean a mind, body, spirit, a fullness of being, because we exist at all levels. So working with energetic grids, for me, everything in existence, because it is alive, has an energy field. And an energy field is a structured grid. And we'll talk about how to access ascension and healing through working through the grids. What the methods that I use and that I've been being taught are working with grids through telepathy, downloads, and grid-based soul retrieval. And I'll give examples of each of those. And first, I would like to explain how to connect and work with grids and their coordinates. So if I sound a bit systematic and sort of robotic, it's because this is my first time speaking ever, and I've only been on the planet 4.5 months. It's my first time to Earth, and I am trying to be as composed and fluid and coherent as possible. And so, yeah, that is why. So because the energy field, your aura, these layers of expression of your being that surround you, create your energy field. So you have your chakra system. Each of your chakras basically radiates outward, and it creates and what is known as a subtle body or an energetic body. And all of these layers make your aura, along with other energetic anatomy. But your aura is the field of all your energetic anatomy radiating outward and creating these different layers of energy around you. So we exist in our energy field. So basically, when we incarnate, we come in through the top of the head, and we have what Sheila refers to as your Shantias Khan, so like your oversoul, your higher self. And the soul aspect will come and to incarnate, but it can't fully incarnate into the body. And so an aspect of the soul will come in, which is becomes the personality of this lifetime. And all of the rest of you really exists in your energy field. So the energy field, because it consists of lines of light, is actually a grid. And so when I say that the energy field is a structured grid, this is what I'm talking about. So because we're made of light, everything vibrates. And because everything vibrates, it has a frequency. And because it has a frequency, it can be equated to a number. So what I have been taught to do is to scan the energy system, pick up a frequency, whether it be for healing, whether it be for a download, to retrieve a download, whether it be to leave information for somebody, whether it be to call a soul aspect back. Everything vibrates. Because it vibrates, it has a frequency. Because it has a frequency, it can have an accessible number. So I scan the energy system. I get the number, the coordinates. So a number is a coordinate. And then I repeat the number over and over and over and over again until I come into resonance with it. And as we come into resonance with it, we are now telepathically and energetically, because we're resonating at the same level of the coordinate on the grid, we're actually there. And we telepathically link in to the energy system. And into the grid. And because of that, you're able to read telepathically the energy in the grid. So just like grids, just like a system will have subsystems, or a category will have subcategories, a grid coordinate can have subcoordinates within it. So that somebody asked, I saw the question come up, how am I scanning the energy field? So I'm just directing my conscious intention, and I am taking my consciousness and scanning the energetic emissions from your field, from your being into your field, radiating around you and picking that up. And that's how I'm reading the field. So it first started out with telepathically getting information. So another woman that I was working with, who works at the works with grids, was describing something to me, and she basically said, the best way for me to describe it to you would be to telepathically leave it in, put the thought into a coordinate on the grid, get a coordinate for it, and give you the coordinates so that you can access it. And when you get to that point in the grid, retrieve the download. So I had never done that before, and I said, okay, well, I can certainly give it a try. And what my collective, how they guided me to do that, was they told me to take the coordinate, which is the frequency that particular thing is vibrating at within your energy field, and taking the number of that frequency and repeating it over and over and over again until I came into resonance with it through the repetition of it. Just like we do mantras or tone to bring the chakras into balance, it's the same kind of thing. You're basically toning to come into resonance with. And so this works the same way. So I did that, and I reached the coordinate in the grid, and there was information there, because you telepathically, because you start to resonate at the same level, at the same frequency as the aspect of the grid that you're accessing, and all information is encoded in light. And so you're accessing the information by coming into resonance with the frequency of it. And you do that by repeating the number of the frequency itself to get to that resonance in order to be able to access it. Then when you do that, because you're resonating at the same level of consciousness, you are able to retrieve the information or do the healing work needed or call the soul aspect back. So this is how I got started. So I got the information and I stored it. Just like you have a thought and you store it in your memory to reference it for later, it's the same with a download. You can get the information and store it and unpack it later at a time where you're either able or it's as needed. So I waited because I knew it wasn't the time to retrieve the information. I downloaded it and then I sat in meditation with guidance and repeated the coordinate over again, accessed the information, downloaded it, and shared with her what it was, which was a description of 7 crystal skulls, the color that they were, and the pyramids they were in. And she was shocked and said, wow, that's incredible. I've never done that before. And that's how I started being able to retrieve information from the grids. Then it evolved into being guided by my collective to receive my own downloads. So typically when we get a download, as many people are familiar with, it comes from the universe or from our collective, from portals that open. We just receive the download. So when we learn to work with our own energy field, when we learn to work with our own life force and accessing it through the grid works, we can go retrieve our own downloads. So what my collective did was walk me through, they gave me a coordinate, and then just like there's like a system will have subsystems or a category will have subcategories, what they did was they gave me different coordinates, places within my energy field or within a larger energy grid surrounding the planet or the galaxy or the solar system, the universe, because everything has an energy field, so everything has a grid. And I repeated those and went and retrieved downloads that they had for me as part of my learning and ascension process, that information was encoded, and I took it and was able to retrieve my own downloads. So there was one coordinate that had subcoordinates within it. So like you open it up, and just like there's if you have a star system, there was many stars within a star system. So there can be many grid points, sub-coordinates within a grid coordinate. And they're intersecting lines of light. So that's how the connection point. And so that is an example of how to retrieve your own downloads. So another example is grid-based soul retrieval. So there was a fellow walk-in, and we were talking, and my collective let me know that he had a soul fragment that had not walked in with him. And I was teaching him how to retrieve the soul aspect from a coordinate in the universe at the point that the accident happened. And because everything has a referenceable information point throughout all dimensions, across all timelines, forms, states, and ways of being. And you can access that if you can tune into the frequency, translate the frequency to a number by tuning in on it, and then using that number to tone to bring yourself in to resonance with whatever you're trying to access, because everything is encoded. So because it's encoded, it can be accessed because it has a frequency and because it resonates, and because we all resonate, we can access basically everything. This is how everything's interconnected and happening all at the same time. at least in my understanding. So I'm going to say in my understanding, because I understand that my truth and knowing and understanding is perhaps vastly different than somebody else's. And I really honor and appreciate that, because there's always room to grow and learn. And that's why we're here. I know that's why I'm here, to grow and to contribute. So getting back on point, I tuned in to where the accident had happened, energetically, where it was referenced in the Hall of Records. It's hard for me to explain what the Hall of Records is, but it's something akin to the Akashic Records. So information is stored everywhere throughout the universe. And I was able to reference the point of the accident, go there, and I was repeating the frequency of where that was stored energetically, where it was resonating at. And I was going to just show him how to do it, and it actually brought us there. And so since we arrived at the scene of the accident where the walk-in occurred, because of the level of trauma to the body, the full soul aspect of the walk-in was not able to enter into the body, because it was just too traumatized. There was too much dissonance, too much distortion to have the clarity and the coherency and by coherency, I mean enough of the energy field resonating in a unified way to have a clear path to come in. And so only part of him came in. And I met the soul fragment at the scene of the accident, and we, much like a traditional shamanic soul retrieval, you guide the soul aspect back in. You talk to it, you reassure it, you honor its sovereignty, its autonomy. You let it know that the body is its home here on earth. I mean, there's different forms. This is my understanding of how to do this. And as there's no set way. And explaining that they would be safe, they're loved, they're appreciated, that this is their body, their temple, their palace, and that they're home here on earth, and that their presence was required in order to complete the mission here. Because just like we can't really fully grasp something with only part of our attention present, we can't really fully accomplish our mission without the fullness of the soul aspect that we were going to come in with present, really, truly. And so there may be exceptions to this. Again, I only know what my being has reference to. So, and I honor that there's many different truths. So guided the soul aspect very, very carefully, consciously. My collective was present. They were watching everything and just let me handle it. And so there has to be the utmost integrity doing this work. I mean, it's not to be taken lightly, and you have to pay attention to every detail, because you're dealing with somebody's soul, and you could traumatize them more if you're not paying attention to the soul aspect that's already here in the body, the fragmented soul aspect you're bringing back in, the energy of the place that they're coming from, the energy that they're traveling through to get to where they are, and the energy surrounding the body and the soul aspect already incarnate. And all of them have to have fluidity, because otherwise it's not safe. And if it's not safe, you're going to traumatize that aspect of the soul again. And so we gradually worked it back in, and the soul aspect entered into the body, and I gradually acclimated it to the frequencies of the body. And what I was guided to share with the walk-in whose soul aspect returned was to give it autonomy. It has to allow it the opportunity to experience who it is, what it's capable of, how things work here, and who you are, because that's going to allow for a resonance that creates trust, compatibility, and the capacity to fully integrate in a coherent way. And that is really essential, because the work that comes from not doing that is enormous, just truly, truly enormous. As anyone who's been traumatized will understand. And, you know, we've all been traumatized, so we can all relate to that. And I was just advised by my collective and by his own soul aspect and just all of the energies, because I'm just a channel. It's not, you know, I'm just doing what I've been tasked and honored and entrusted to do. So I'm just a channel. And so he did that and allowed for the decision making. I said, think of the decision and then step back. And now that you've referenced and given a clarity of what's happening, allow the soul aspect to come forward and make the decision. And I said, do that for a few weeks, because this will help create that relationship and bring the soul aspect up to speed and familiarize yourselves with one another, because that's really important. We have enough work to do. We don't need to create more. So other methods and modalities that I use in assisting and maintaining holistic health and aiding in the ascension process is a soul journeying exploration session. What this is that I will meet with somebody for whatever issue that they have, whether it be, you know, a self-limiting belief, whether it be a health issue, trauma, getting unstuck in part of the ascension process, soul integration, higher self download, any of these things, and meet with the person and just clear myself out completely. Tune in to their soul, their team, my team, the energies on the earth, the energies surrounding the earth, the energies in the solar system, the energies in the galaxy, and any universal energies that are really prominent to what's taking place at the macro level, the micro level rather, which is the embodied, the incarnate level, and asking for whatever the issue is to be taken to the source of it. And I let that energy come in, and I hold space to amplify it. And as an amplification, I just receive the energy and transmit it. So now you've actually created, through just being in resonance with, holding conscious open space, I'm not taking it into me, and letting that permeate the consciousness field of my perception, then I can transmit it, which amplifies it. And when you amplify the energies in this way, you create almost a sacred space. So you've dimensionally opened a portal that you can work in, that takes you back to the source energetically and actually in the here and now, at the level that it happened as it took place, unfolding in the here and now. And because it's coming from the time period or the level or the area of the universe, the galaxy, the solar system, the multiverse, wherever, future life, parallel life, galactic life, past life, it's referenceable. And then the person can move through the experience, which I just do as a guided support as the energy unfolds, and leave them room to experience what's happening at the level at which it took place, so there can be some closure and some resolution. And that's what a soul journeying session is. So we go to whatever time and place, and it just natural. It's kind of it's like you're journeying. The life of the soul is very vast, and it spans across all things. And when we reference the soul as itself, that's how everything becomes accessible, at least in my understanding. So that's what a soul journeying session is. Then I also am trained, and I had the great good fortune of being a student to Sheila, and she has trained me in her soul reconnection technique, which is working with the energetic ley lines. The ley lines, because so just like the soul has a cord that attaches it to the body for the duration of the incarnation, so too does it have lines of light connecting it to the universe. So we arose out of the singularity. And as we arose out of the singularity, those are the, in my understanding, the ley lines, the lines of light that connect us back to the universe. And they contain everything we ever have been, everything we ever will be, everything we are, all of the soul wounds, the imprints, the genetic happenings, the soul experiences, all of it. And we can go in and clear out everything. And basically you're clearing out everything from the very beginning of the soul's existence throughout all dimensions, across all timelines, forms, states, and ways of being. And in doing that, you're working at the core foundational level of the totality of your being, which allows new light codes to be brought in to recalibrate the system. And so it takes off, just like learning is cumulative, energy is cumulative. It removes all of the cumulative built up energy and leaves the resonance, the shadow echo of the thing itself. And so because you've cleared out all of the things piled on top of the lesson that the energy was brought in to help the soul learn, you're dealing with the core foundation of the thing itself. So this work is deep work, and it's for people who have already done a lot of work on themselves and are moving further in to their own self-actualization. This isn't for people who are just starting out, and because they won't be able to hold the frequencies. And it's not about anyone being more evolved than anyone else. We're all evolved. How? Because we exist. And we're all the same because we're all evolving. So this isn't a hierarchical thing. And I really want to stress that, because modesty is the key to integrity. And I think that's what I really want to stress. You know, working with people is very sacred. It's very powerful, and it's deeply, deeply serious. And I don't take that lightly. Even though I'm new here, I don't take that lightly. And so I just wanted to stress that the integrity with which Sheila teaches and practices, and I am profoundly grateful for that. So that's what the soul reconnection technique is. To explain more, that all of the work done with these methods work to recode things at the cellular and soul levels, which in part is how I'm fulfilling my previously stated mission of being tasked with coming to Earth to help lay down new soul codes to aid in the evolutionary ascension process of all beings. I first did this by coming here and contributing my soul codes as I passed through the stargate in the center of the Earth, and imprinting my DNA into the crystalline core of the Earth, where all of the soul codes for all incarnated souls on this planet exist. And I also continue doing this by maintaining a high level of frequency while here in embodied form and contributing to the reality of this resonance, the reality of that resonance of a higher frequency, to the vibratory existence of life on the planet, and through the lived expression into the consciousness of the collective here on the planet, because my life is a conscious feedback loop. My life is a feedback loop to the universe through the consciousness of itself. And I had a woman tell me, and I'm so thankful that she said this to me. She said, your first job is maintaining a high frequency and tending to your basic survival. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to do anything else. How can you do high vibrational work if you aren't maintaining a high vibration? And that really made me stop and think, because I was in survival mode. And I'm not going to parrot that I'm not. I've only been here 4.5 months. It's important to remain humble. I have much to learn in order to be able to contribute more. And so to honor the wisdom of those who came before me, those who walk alongside me, and those at all levels, keeps me humble enough to exist in a way where I can learn what I actually need to learn in a way that keeps me grounded and perceptually open, so that I can be of the best service, of and for the highest and greatest good, in ways that are not at the detriment, expense, or harm to myself or any other energy. And that by that I mean life force, throughout all dimensions, across all timelines, forms, states, and ways of being, on all levels and in all ways, for the entirety of my soul's existence and for the duration of this incarnation, because nothing less will do. And that being said, I then secondly do my mission through working with others at a soul level through these various methods. This is the work that recodes the energetic grid works of the self at the design level, meaning at the foundational creational level of universal consciousness and life itself. And we all do that. Each and every one of us here does that. And that's the power and the beauty, and also the scary kind of keep you up at night sort of thing that makes us take our missions and our lives and our desires and our hopes seriously. And I really honor each of you for the wisdom that you carry and for sharing that, because being here is not easy. This is not an easy place to be. It's certainly beautiful and profoundly meaningful, and it's also deeply, deeply tragic, gut-wrenching, and profoundly exhausting. And I think both and is the understanding for this existence. To remain healthy and okay and referenceable and present and non-judgmental, both and, because nothing is ever one way, ever, 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 never. And so I also assist starseeds through support at the practical, energetic, and soul levels, connect with and work more deeply with their mission and their ascension processes. How? By just showing up, doing what's in the scope. And here's the thing, doing what's in my scope. I do not do anything that is not in my scope, because then I'm doing harm. And then I'm operating at a low vibration, and I'm out of frequency, I'm out of integrity, I'm out of alignment, and I'm off mission. And for me, that's just never going to be okay, because, what working with people requires that we do no harm. And that means at all levels, at the level of ourselves, at the level of the individual, at the level of the collective, at the level of the universe, the galaxy, the multiverse, at all levels, as much as humanly possible, as much as possible, consciously possible. And I don't want to sound like I'm preaching. I'm very self-conscious, and I believe in being honest because all things come from truth. And I thank you for listening and letting me have the honor, the profound honor of speaking with you today. And I say speaking with because I'm not talking to you, I'm speaking with you. Thank you.
Hello, Aranania. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. I was like, wow, I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. That is, yeah, the way that you were describing everything is just absolutely beautiful. We do have a few questions for you. If you would be up to answering those. The
I will
first
do my
question,
humble best.
okay. The first question is, how does one open a portal? Is it by intention or manifesting?
I think the important thing to understand, this is going to be off topic, and I just feel that the energy of the question is coming from this place. If I'm wrong, please let me know, because channels aren't always clear. I think the important thing to understand right now is because we are evolving at the same time as the planet. As we expand our consciousness, we don't become a portal, we become a stargate. And the higher your consciousness goes, it's like a planet. The larger your level of embodied consciousness is, the more pull you're going to have. And the more pull you have, the greater the capacity to channel an opening of reality for the universe that you're going to be transmitting through you. You are the portal. Your life is the manifestation. And the more that you just spend time with your own consciousness, the deeper aspects, the higher aspects of you will naturally come forward. They will engage in deeper relationship with you. And as you cultivate that relationship, your capacity will expand, your communication will expand, and the portal that is you will become ever deeper, ever wider, and the manifestation of your knowingness, that is the stargate through which other people will come to learn, opens more profoundly. I hope that answers your question.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And now I'm going to have one that's a little long for you, and I'm going to combine a couple because there were several questions. At the beginning, you talked about how you were coming in at various stages, different aspects that had
Yes.
arrived into the body. So the first thing is, if you could please describe where, first off, the beginning of the natal soul and what began to happen and occur with it. And then the next thing would be where you were for the last 4.5 months prior to incarnating.
Oh, that's quite a story. We'll just give you the abridged version of this last lifetime. I can't go into all of it, but okay. First thing, native soul is what is known as a line walker. And so what a line walker is everything has a balancing point in the universe. And so everything in creation holds a frequency for something to exist, right? And line walkers are equal parts light and dark energy. And they exist to keep the balance in the universe between the light and the dark. And so line walkers have very, very difficult existences because the nature of their existence is to be completely pitted against themselves at every turn, to find a way to merge completely opposing opposites, to bring through that process a deep harmony through the dissonance in the universe. And because she was a line walker, all of her lives had been pretty traumatic, pretty brutal, and very, very, very difficult and gut rendering. She had gotten to the point where she said, okay, no more of this. And just started plowing through her life lessons and everything the last 2 years of her life. I mean, plowing through them. We're talking lifetimes. We're not just talking a lifetime, but lifetimes worth of things. And as she did that, she was ready to move on because she had had a pretty traumatic life. And the trauma had just gotten to the point where she was so miserable, she couldn't tolerate her own existence or even being here and didn't want to be on planet anymore. So there was a contracted agreement with my former soul aspect, Jerusalem, to switch out at this juncture. And she came in through the top of the head. What happened was she was watching from the other side. And because of the consciousness level of the soul already in the body, she naturally worked herself out of the body energetically because she had already learned how to do that. And Jerusalem was from the angelic realms, and Uriel and Gabriel were on the other side, instructing her, watching as the soul worked its way out of the body. So as it started to come out of the top of the head, there was an energetic tunnel. Jerusalem, the native soul passed over her, and she passed underneath and came in through the top of the head. So she was here for 2 years. She had only been here 8 times, and that was on mission from the angelic realms to learn about the human experience. Those were very tragic, difficult lives, but she wanted to fast track to get as much learning as she could. However, there has to be an integration of those soul wounds, otherwise you can't move on. And so that's what she did. She worked through those, finished them, and because of that, she finished way ahead of schedule. And I was called to say, well, an agreement is an agreement. Things have to be finished. So here you go. Step in. And so that's what the meeting was about. So prior to coming here for the last 4,000 years, I was a sub-commander in the Intergalactic Legions of Light, which is a peacekeeping, militaristic, diplomatic unit for the Intergalactic Councils of Light. And that was my role.
Awesome. Awesome. And so do you have memories of that past life?
Yeah, very clearly. I remember it very vividly, and when I first got here, as part of the closure process, I said goodbye to my partner, to my battalion, and it's hard because, as a soul, you do have a life, and becoming somebody completely different is painful, no matter who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the questions that has come up privately is people are wondering, where this particular person is wondering, when the original soul came into the body, when Jerusalem came into the body, were those all part of the same oversoul? And now has everyone been coming in and out? What was the story there?
Okay, so my anxiety is taking over, so I'm getting out of resonance. Just give me a moment to get coherent again. Okay, so what happened, if I'm remembering the question correctly, if I'm not, please feel free to guide me back to what has actually been asked. I'm getting a lot of answers.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's basically were all of these soul aspects from the same oversoul, and how has that worked?
Okay, yes. The native soul was not from the same soul group, the same family, anything. So here's an important thing, and this is foundational to all souls in my understanding. Again, in my understanding, is that sometimes the reason we get the body, how we get the body is not always the reason why we have the body, because those can be two different things. So how Jerusalem got the body, not the reason she had it, but how she got the body, was because in one of her 8 lifetimes here, the native soul's former husband had brutalized, tortured, and killed Jerusalem very violently and sadistically. And the native soul knew that her husband had killed Jerusalem and kept it secret, and would just go to the tree where her body was buried and lay flowers there. So as part of the atonement process for the native soul to help clear up her karma, Jerusalem was given the body. So that the reason Jerusalem had the body was different than how she got the body. So the reason she had the body was because she was transitioning out of the angelic realms. As souls, we transition through all different kinds of realms. We don't rarely ever stay in just one as part of the soul's growth. And in my understanding, I'm not going to say that's universal doctrine. And so she was transitioning out of the angelic realms to move into the galactic realms as a galactic ambassador, right? And so she was finishing up integrating those soul wounds, those lifetimes, through recognition, processing, and going through a psychic death with them. Because once there's a psychic death, you can close the door on an energy and it goes back to whence it came. It's no longer in existence. I mean, that portal is closed in time, that door is closed. And so that's how Jerusalem got the body. Now, Jerusalem was my last remaining soul aspect. So the soul will split into the oversoul will split into many different aspects to accelerate its learning, right? And those lives can be happening all at the same time, or at different times. But all time is one time. So I'll leave that for you to figure out, because we're running out of time here. So that being said, my last remaining soul aspect finished ahead of schedule. Agreements are agreements. Because she had agreed to do a very large role as a galactic ambassador, agreements. So just like, and here's another important point, and Sheila can maybe talk to this, is that as a walk-in, or soul infusion or a higher self download, you have to deal with what the native soul left behind and what your soul aspect left behind, and work through it before you can get to your stuff. And an agreement is an agreement. Like if the native soul had an agreement and left, then you're taking it on. And so just like my soul aspect had an agreement, and a big one, it was like, I don't care if you're an oversoul, get your butt down here and do your part, because it's an agreement. And I said, okie dokie, so here I am. Yeah. You're muted. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. So people are also wondering and looking through the chat if you have a website or if you're planning to develop a website, and if you don't, how they can reach you.
Okay. I'm going to be honest. We inherit what came before us in many ways. So the native soul, and I'm not blaming them, I'm just saying the native soul in Jerusalem did not have tech skills. So I do not have those, and I will need to learn them. So I do not have a website. You can reach me by my name, Aranania of Light. And I know I'm going to be asked to put that in the chat, so I will do that here. Hopefully with some cut and paste. Cut. And then that's the advance of my tech savvy, is cut and paste to put into the chat. Hopefully that works. So there's my name. You can find me by my name at Facebook Messenger, or you can email me directly, and I will get back to you. I promise. And that's a promise that I take seriously. So I will get back to you. It may be 2 words, but I will get back to you. Okay.
Beautiful. I do apologize. You can hear Willow barking in the background. I'm running everything today, and I had to have someone come to help him go relieve himself. So, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to let everyone know that as we begin to wrap up this segment, if you go ahead, I'm sorry, if you could do just a moment, please.
Sure.
He's my main protector here because no one's at the house with me. But what I would like for you to do, if you could just kind of, wrapping up your portion of the presentation and leave people with some final thoughts.
Yes. I think what is very important is to tune in, to sit down and go within. And go within and call in the innate wisdom of your own higher intelligence. Start there and develop a relationship with it. Because when you do that, then you can start to connect to all of everyone has a team, everyone has a team, and you can connect to your team. First, we need to come into resonance with the higher vibration of our own soul to do that deeper listening. And that's the place to start. And know that you are profound, that you are able to access the multitude of the multiverses because you're connected to and exist of and within and as part of it. And that you are part of the mystery, the miracle, and the magic. And that this ascension cannot and will not happen without you.